This is Xythor Kaelum, transmitting from Earth, year 3001, 154 years after what we call the Great Migration. If you're receiving this in the 21st century, you're 1,000 years in my past. How? I'm using quantum entangled communication, developed in 2956. It's a technology that manipulates causality itself, allowing this message to travel backward through time. Now, this violates all the physics, you know, but as we learned on the world of Aeloria, physics is negotiable. Your scientists will probably detect this transmission as some kind of weird background radiation. They'll dismiss it as cosmic noise. But hidden inside that static is this message, this warning. This is our history. I need you to know what happened to us ... What's going to happen to you? Because on Aeloria, time isn't a straight line. Cause and effect blur together. The future influences the past. And I have to believe, that this message might change things. It might save more people. It might alter the timeline so that all of humanity survives what's coming, not just half. My name is Xythor Kaelum, but I was born Xander Thorn in the year 2819 in New Berlin, part of the unified Earth government territory. I was 28 years old when the crisis began. I was just a junior astrophysicist at the Lunar Observatory. My job was to monitor solar dynamics, studying the sun's long-term evolution. All our models, all our science, predicted our star would be stable for another 5 billion years. We were wrong, catastrophically wrong. On March 3, 2847, the solar neutrino detectors at the observatory registered an anomaly. The neutrino flux coming from the sun's core increased by 17% in just 6 hours. This should have been impossible. The reactions in the solar core operate on billion-year timescales. Fluctuations that massive should take millennia, not hours. We ran every diagnostic, checked every instrument. Everything was functioning perfectly. The readings were real. The sun's core was destabilizing. Within 12 hours, our worst fears were confirmed by gravitational measurements. The sun's mass was increasing. Not physically, it wasn't actually gaining matter, but its gravitational influence was intensifying. And because of that, Earth's orbit began to decay. At first, it was slow, just microseconds per day, but it was accelerating exponentially. We ran the numbers, calculated it forward. The math was brutally definitive. Within 73 days, Earth would cross the Roche limit. The sun's tidal forces would literally shatter our planet into pieces. And within 80 days, what was left of Earth would impact the solar photosphere. Everything and everyone would be vaporized. 8 billion people. All of Earth's life. Gone. We immediately reported our findings to Earth's unified government. Emergency protocols were activated. Evacuation plans were dusted off. But evacuate to where? Our colonies on Mars held about 50 million people. Luna held another 30 million. The orbital stations could house maybe 20 million more. The total off-world capacity was just 100 million people. We had 8 billion to save. You can do the math. 7.9 billion people were going to die unless we found another way. The government formed the Crisis Council, pulling together the best scientists from every field. Engineers, physicists, biologists. Our mandate was simple. Find a solution. Any solution. All the conventional options were useless. We couldn't build enough starships. That would take decades, and we only had weeks. We couldn't expand the existing colonies fast enough. Terraforming Mars to support billions would take centuries. We had no time. We could send generation ships to nearby stars, but they would only save thousands, while billions were left to die. Then, Dr. Aria Vex, a brilliant quantum physicist from the Mumbai Institute, proposed something that sounded completely insane. She had been studying old theoretical papers from your time, the 21st century. Concepts that were dismissed back then as pure fantasy. Parallel dimensions, alternate realities, pocket universes. She was convinced that habitable dimensions existed right alongside our own, and that they could be accessed through specific quantum configurations. We could open portals and evacuate humanity to a parallel Earth. The rest of the council thought she was desperate, irrational even. But what choice did we have? We had no other alternatives. So we authorized her research. We gave her unlimited resources, whatever she needed. She had 60 days to prove her concept worked. She succeeded in 40. On April 12, 2847, in a laboratory deep beneath Geneva, Dr. Vex opened the first stable dimensional portal. It only lasted for 7 seconds. But through it, we saw something incredible. It wasn't a parallel Earth. It wasn't an alternate dimension we could recognize. It was something else entirely. A planet. We could see it clearly through the shimmering portal. It had an atmosphere, oceans, continents covered in green vegetation. But something was wrong. The colors weren't natural. The sky shimmered with strange auroras that seemed to bend space itself. The landscape would shift perspective if you looked directly at it for too long. Vex couldn't explain it. The portal had connected us to a place that shouldn't exist within any known dimensional topology. But it was habitable, and it was empty. No signs of civilization, no structures, no electronic signals. Just a pristine world, waiting. We sent probes through the subsequent portals we opened. The atmospheric analysis came back perfect. 21% oxygen, 77% nitrogen, breathable air. The temperature range was ideal, from -10 to 40 degrees Celsius. Gravity was almost identical to Earth's. Radiation was minimal. The water was abundant and clean. By every single metric, the planet was perfect. Too perfect. It was suspiciously perfect, almost as if it had been designed specifically for human habitation. The Crisis Council debated for 3 long days. Some argued that we didn't understand this planet, that we couldn't know its hidden dangers. They said we couldn't risk evacuating billions of people to a completely unknown world. But others argued we had no choice. Earth was dying. This new planet, which Vex named Aeloria, from an ancient Greek word for wanderer, was our only option. The debate ended abruptly when new data showed our orbital decay was accelerating faster than we thought. We didn't have 73 days. We had 52. The vote was unanimous. We had to begin the evacuation immediately. Aeloria was to be humanity's ark. We had 7 weeks to move 8 billion people through dimensional portals to an alien world. It was an impossible task. We knew it was impossible, but we tried anyway, because the only alternative was extinction. This is only the beginning of our story. The logistics of the evacuation were a complete nightmare. Vex's team discovered they could keep a single portal open for about 6 hours before quantum instability forced them to shut it down for recalibration. During that window, we could get maybe 50,000 people through. That meant to save everyone, we needed 160 portals, all running continuously, perfectly coordinated, for 52 days straight. An impossible task. So we did it. We built 160 portal generators in 40 days. Factory output jumped 10,000%. Every engineer on Earth, every physicist, every single technician was on this project. Construction crews worked around the clock, building generators in every major city, linking them all to Vex's quantum network and synchronizing them down to the nanosecond. At our peak, we actually had 180 portals operational. The portals themselves looked like standing water. Just these vertical surfaces of shimmering, iridescent liquid suspended in massive metal frames. You couldn't see what was on the other side. Just this liquid surface that rippled when you touched it. Stepping through was a strange sensation. It felt like passing through a membrane, first pressure, then resistance, and then release. You'd emerge on Aeloria in an instant. No travel time, no sense of movement, just a dimensional translation. One moment you were on Earth, the next you were on an entirely different world. The evacuation order was brutally simple. Essential items only, 20 kilograms per person. No cars, no furniture, and heartbreakingly, no pets over 10 kilograms. We were told to bring food, water, medicine, seeds, tools, weapons, books, and data storage. The plan was to rebuild civilization from scratch on Aeloria. We needed knowledge and the absolute basics. Everything else we'd have to recreate. Then came the selection process. Who gets to go first? Who goes last? The Crisis Council set up priority tiers. Tier 1 was children under 12 and their parents. Tier 2 included essential specialists, doctors, engineers, farmers, teachers. Tier 3 was the general population, selected by lottery, and Tier 4. That was for the elderly over 80 and the infirm. The unspoken reality was simple. Tier 4 probably wasn't going to make it. There just wasn't enough time, not enough portal capacity. We accepted this terrible math. We prioritized the young. We prioritized the future. And the elderly. They understood. So many of them volunteered to stay behind, giving their spots to younger people. It was absolutely heartbreaking, but it was necessary for survival. My parents were in Tier 4. Both were in their 90s, living in Berlin. They told me to go with my group in Tier 2. As an astrophysicist, I was considered essential personnel. They said they'd follow if there was time, but we all knew they wouldn't make it. I said goodbye to them on day 12 of the evacuation. I told them I loved them, that I'd see them on Aeloria. They smiled and told me to build a good life. They were lying. I was lying. We all knew it. I stepped through the portal that evening, leaving my parents behind on a dying Earth. It is, and always will be, my greatest regret. Stepping onto Aeloria for the first time was overwhelming. The portal dropped us in a massive plain we named the landing fields. It was flat terrain stretching to the horizon, covered in grass, but not earth grass. These blades were a shimmering blue-green, and they hummed, producing a low-frequency vibration you could feel in your bones. The sky was the wrong color. Not blue, but a deep royal violet, with pink clouds that seemed to move against the wind. The sun, Aeloria's star, was a white gold orb, larger than ours, but somehow cooler. You could look right at it without it hurting your eyes. The horizon itself was strange. The atmosphere bent the light in weird ways, making distant objects appear closer or farther away at random. It was incredibly disorienting. You'd see a mountain, guess it was maybe 50 kilometers away, walk toward it for an hour, and realize it was actually 200 kilometers distant. Or maybe it was only 10. Distance was completely unreliable. But the gravity was the strangest part. It wasn't constant. It shifted. One area might feel like Earth normal, but walk 100 meters and you'd feel lighter, like you were on the moon. Walk another 100 and you'd feel heavier, crushed like you were on Jupiter. Vex had a theory that consciousness itself influenced local gravity. Where large groups focused their attention, gravity stabilized at a comfortable level. Where attention wandered, it destabilized. It was a testable theory. If you concentrated on maintaining Earth normal gravity as you walked, it worked. Get distracted and you'd start to float or feel heavy. Aeloria was alive, responding to our very thoughts in ways we couldn't comprehend. We built temporary camps in the landing fields. Tents, shelters, communal kitchens, medical stations. The population exploded daily. Day 1, 50,000 people. Day 10, 2 million. By day 20, we had 5 million. By day 40, 3.8 billion people had arrived. We'd evacuated half of humanity, now living in makeshift camps on an alien world. But back on Earth, things were getting worse, faster than our models predicted. The sun's gravitational pull was accelerating. We didn't have 52 days. The new estimate was 48. The portals ran without a break. No maintenance, no downtime. We pushed them far beyond their designed limits. Several destabilized and imploded, killing hundreds of people waiting in the queues. But most held. By day 45, we had evacuated 4 billion people. Another 4 billion were still on Earth. By day 47, 4.2 billion were through, with 3.8 billion remaining. On day 48, Earth crossed its Roche limit. Tidal forces began tearing the planet apart. Earthquakes beyond any scale we knew. Oceans boiled away from the core's heat. The atmosphere was being stripped into space. The portals started failing. The quantum instability from Earth's final moments was too much. One by one, the connections were severed. By day 49, only 12 portals were left. By day 50, just 3. By day 51, only a single portal remained, located on an orbital station high above the chaos, the final evacuation point. I was there, monitoring the last refugees' boarding transports to the station, then stepping through the portal to Aeloria. The last transport arrived on day 52. It carried 147 people, the essential personnel who kept the portals running until the very last second. I was passenger 146. We all stepped through together and emerged on Aeloria. We turned to look back at the portal. It shimmered, wavered, and collapsed. The connection was gone forever. Earth was gone, unreachable, along with the 3.8 billion people we had to leave behind. Through telescopes on Aeloria, I watched Earth die. Don't ask me how it worked. Aeloria's physics allowed us to see across dimensions, to witness our origin world in its final, agonizing hours. It was horrifying. The surface of the Earth was molten. Entire continents had liquefied. The oceans had evaporated into a thin, wispy atmosphere. The planet itself glowed a sickening red-orange, hemorrhaging heat from its core. The moon had already struck, its impact shattering the crust. Earth and Luna were no longer separate bodies. They had merged into a single irregular mass, spiraling inevitably toward the sun. And the people, the 3.8 billion people left behind, were dead. They were vaporized in the first hours. When the crust broke, when the atmosphere was stripped away, when the oceans boiled, everyone died. There were no survivors, no last-minute miracles, just billions of individual deaths, billions of final moments, billions of people who looked up at a burning sky and knew they had been abandoned. They knew half of humanity had escaped, and they knew they were the ones left behind to die. The guilt was crushing. We survivors carried it then, and we carry it still 154 years later. We saved half of our species, but we condemned the other half. There was no other choice. The portals had a maximum capacity, and our time was finite. The decisions were necessary, but necessity doesn't erase the guilt. It doesn't erase the knowledge that we could have saved more if we'd started earlier. If we'd detected the crisis sooner, if we'd built the portals faster, we could have saved everyone. We didn't. And 3.8 billion people died because of it. On day 54 of our new calendar, what was left of Earth finally impacted the sun. The photosphere simply absorbed the Earth-Luna mass. For 3 hours, the sun's brightness increased. We watched from Aeloria through those impossible telescopes as our homeworld disappeared into our origin star. We watched the sun consume the planet that gave birth to us. Then it was over. Earth was gone. No remnants, no debris. Just a memory. Humanity's origin world, 4 billion years of evolution, 300,000 years of civilization erased. We were orphans, a species without a homeworld, without an anchor. All we had was Aeloria, and Aeloria was strange. The first weeks were chaos. 4.2 billion people suddenly appeared on a new world with no infrastructure, no shelter, and no agriculture. We had brought supplies, but they were a drop in the ocean for a population this size. We needed permanent settlements, farming, industry. We needed to build a civilization from scratch, all over again. The Crisis Council reorganized into a provisional government. They established districts and assigned regions for settlement. We spread out across the landing fields, then expanded into the surrounding territories. We discovered that Aeloria had continents, 7 major landmasses, and dozens of islands. In a fit of nostalgia, we named them after the places we'd lost: New Asia, New Africa, New Europe, the New Americas, New Oceania, New Antarctica, and New Pangaea. We distributed the population, trying to maintain cultural connections. Former Asians settled New Asia. Former Europeans settled New Europe. We tried to hold on to our identities, but Aeloria resisted our attempts at organization. The planet wouldn't behave. Rivers would change their course overnight. Mountains would shift. Forests would appear where there had been plains just yesterday. We'd establish a settlement, build structures, go to sleep, and wake up to find everything relocated 50 kilometers to the west. The planet was shifting, reconfiguring itself, as if testing different arrangements. We soon realized Aeloria wasn't a passive world. It was an active participant in our settlement. It responded to us, adjusted to us, changed itself based on our needs. If we needed water, rivers would appear. If we needed a forest for lumber, full-grown trees would sprout in just 8 hours. If we needed flat land for agriculture, mountains would smooth themselves into plains. The planet was accommodating us, but it was also testing us. It was forcing us to adapt. Dr. Vex, our lead xenophysicist, studied this phenomenon intensely. She developed a theory. Aeloria was constructed. It was an artificial world, designed by some advanced intelligence and left dormant, waiting for a refugee population, just like ours. When we arrived, the planet activated and began an optimization process, learning our needs and adjusting the environment to become the ideal world for humanity. But who built it? And why? We found no structures, no ruins, no evidence of any previous civilization. Just an empty, responsive planet. Either the builders had left long ago, or they had transcended physical form. Or maybe they never had physical bodies at all. Aeloria might be an intelligence without a body, a consciousness without biology. A world mind. Then came the first deaths on Aeloria. They were mysterious. People would walk into certain regions areas that looked perfectly safe, perfectly normal, and simply collapse. They were dead within minutes. There were no wounds, no signs of disease. They just stopped. We established quarantine zones, marking forbidden territories, while our scientists analyzed the bodies. They found nothing wrong physically. Their hearts had stopped, and their brain activity had ceased, as if they were simply switched off. Dr. Vex took quantum scanners into these death zones. She discovered that those areas had different physical constants. There were slight variations in the electromagnetic force, minor changes to Planck's constant, just enough to disrupt biological systems, just enough to stop a human heart. Aeloria's physics weren't uniform. Different regions operated under slightly different rules of reality. We learned to detect these boundaries, to establish safe zones, and mark the dangerous territories. But the boundaries moved. A safe zone from yesterday could become a death trap today. People died because they trusted yesterday's maps of a world that was constantly changing. We adapted. We had to. We developed real-time scanners to constantly monitor the local physics, creating a safety network that warned us of shifting zones. But dozens of people died before we understood. Dozens more died even after. Aeloria was beautiful, habitable, and our only home. But it was also dangerous. We were guests in a house that kept shifting its walls around us. We had to learn the rules of this house, and the rules were changing every single day. 6 months after we arrived on Aeloria, the first children were born, and that's when everything changed. We started to notice differences. First, physical, then cognitive. This was the first generation of native Aeolorians, and they were beautiful. They were taller than us Earth-born humans, slimmer, with bones that were lighter yet somehow stronger. Their eyes were larger, the pupils a mesmerizing shade that seemed perfectly adapted to the planet's violet sky. Their biology was a marvel. Their lungs processed oxygen with an efficiency we'd never seen before. Their metabolism could utilize the biochemistry of both Earth-based food and Aeloria's native vegetation. They were hybrids, part Earth biology, part Aeloria biology. We couldn't understand how it was possible. Genetics just shouldn't work that way. Human DNA isn't supposed to just integrate with alien biochemistry. But it was clear that Aeloria itself had changed them in the womb, modified them, optimized them for this new home. Dr. Vex, our lead geneticist, dedicated himself to studying the children. His discovery was mind-bending. Their DNA contained sequences that had never existed before in humans. New genetic information, added during gestation. It was undeniable. The planet was editing us, evolving us. It was creating a better version of humanity, specifically for this world. Some parents were terrified. They saw their children as contaminated. That's the word they used, but most of us, we accepted it. We loved our children, regardless of the changes. And honestly, the modifications were beneficial. These kids were healthier, stronger, and smarter than any generation before them. They learned faster, remembered more, and processed information at rates that left us in the dust. They were better than us baseline humans. They were Aeloria's children, Homo sapiens alarius, and it wasn't just the children. The adults began changing too, just slower, less dramatically. Our eyesight improved, adapting to the violet light. Our bodies developed a resistance to the planet's shifting gravity. Our inner ears recalibrated. We even developed a strange intuition about the physics zones. We could feel when we were approaching a dangerous region. Our bodies would warn us. How? We didn't know, but we felt it. A pressure in the chest, a tingling in the fingertips, a dull headache. They were signs that said, "Don't go there." Aeloria was communicating with us through our own bodies. It was teaching us its language, its rules. We were becoming native to Aeloria, becoming part of the planet, and the planet was becoming part of us. After just 2 years, telling a native-born child from an Earth-born adult was easy. The children moved differently, spoke differently, even thought differently. They weren't better or worse, just a new subspecies. We were witnessing human evolution in real time. Accelerated, guided evolution. Aeloria was sculpting us, creating its ideal inhabitants, forging a symbiotic relationship. We shaped the planet with our cities and farms, and the planet shaped us through our very genes. A mutual transformation. Co-evolution. Within 5 years, 90% of the population under 18 were native-born Aelorians, new humans, adapted humans, future humans. I built a life here. I married a wonderful woman named Lyra Chun. She was a botanist studying Aeloria's incredible vegetation, trying to decode its biochemistry. We fell in love, and we had 3 children, all born on Aeloria, all modified, all beautiful, and all different from me. They loved me, and I loved them with everything I had. But in subtle ways, they were alien to me. They experienced a world I simply couldn't. They perceived things I never would. They'd talk about the planet's mood or the landscape's intention. I'd ask what they meant, and they'd struggle to explain. "You can't feel it?" They'd ask, their faces a mixture of confusion and pity. And no, I couldn't. I was Earth-born, unmodified, limited. They were Aelorian, enhanced, expanded. They were the future, and I was the past. It hurt, realizing that. Realizing my own children had outgrown humanity, had outgrown me. But I was also proud. So incredibly proud that they were better adapted, better suited for this world. They would thrive here, They would survive. They would build a civilization I couldn't even begin to imagine. And in the end, that's what mattered. Not my feelings, not my limitations. Their success. I'm 182 years old now. The medical technology we developed from Aeloria's biology extends our lifespans dramatically. I'll live another century, easily. But I'm a relic, a dinosaur, one of the last of the pure humans. My children are 148, 151, and 153. To look at them, you'd think they were 40. They'll live for 500 years, maybe longer. Their children, my grandchildren, will probably live for millennia. Each generation lives longer. Each generation is more Aelorian and less human. The transformation is gradual, but it's inevitable. Within 1,000 years, pure humans like me will be extinct. Everyone will be Aelorian, changed, modified, evolved. Is that a bad thing? I don't think so. Evolution happens. Adaptation is the key to survival, and we survived. That's what matters. We found a new home, and we became part of it. The story of humanity didn't end. It just took a turn we never expected. And I, for one, am grateful I got to see it. For 20 years, we lived on Aeloria, believing we were alone. We had explored, mapped, and settled what we thought was a pristine, empty world. A paradise, yes, but a natural one. We were wrong. Deep in the continental interior of New Pangaea, an exploration team found it. The first sign that we weren't the first. It was a structure impossibly large, a perfect pyramid piercing the alien sky, 500 meters tall. It was made of a material blacker than anything we'd ever seen, a substance that seemed to drink the light, leaving only a void against the horizon. And its surface was alive, covered in symbols that weren't static. They moved, flowed, and reconfigured themselves in mesmerizing, silent patterns. For 2 decades, we had assumed Aeloria was a natural wonder, perhaps constructed by some long-dead civilization and left to the wild. This discovery shattered that belief. Someone had built this, and given the constant motion of the symbols, someone or something was still maintaining it. We were not alone, not really. The structure told us its name, not with sound, not with text, but directly. As we stared at the shifting symbols, the knowledge just appeared in our minds. A direct transfer of meaning that bypassed language itself. Its name was the Nexus, and it was an archive, a library holding the secrets of the universe. Getting inside was the next challenge. When our Earthborn teams approached, a wave of nausea hit them. Some collapsed, their bodies violently rejecting the proximity of the Nexus. It was as if the structure itself had a defense system, one that targeted our original biology. But the Aelorians, our children born and modified by this world, they could approach without issue. They walked right up to its seamless walls, and a gateway opened for them. It was the most profound confirmation yet. This planet, this sanctuary, wasn't just for humanity. It was for what humanity was becoming. Inside, the Aelorian teams found vast chambers filled not with books or servers, but with intricate crystalline structures that pulsed with a soft, internal light. This was data storage on a scale we could barely comprehend, information encoded into the very quantum state of the crystals. Dr. Vex and his team, working tirelessly, developed an interface, a way to translate this quantum data. And when the first coherent streams of information began to flow, what we learned didn't just change our understanding of Aeloria. It changed everything. Aeloria wasn't an accident. It was built, intentionally, by a species we came to know as the Precursors. They had existed 500 million years ago, a civilization so advanced they were post-biological, post-physical beings of pure consciousness, existing as complex patterns in the fabric of space-time itself. But they remembered their origins. They remembered being biological, fragile. They had witnessed a tragic, repeating cycle across the cosmos. Species would rise on their homeworlds, achieve intelligence, develop technology, and then face an extinction-level event. A dying star, a gamma ray burst, a catastrophic climate shift. Billions of species, born and died on their lonely cradle worlds, never reaching the stars. The precursors saw this as a profound waste, so they decided to act. They built sanctuaries, worlds like Aeloria, hidden away in pockets of space-time, accessible only through specific dimensional gateways. Each sanctuary was designed to be a lifeboat, capable of detecting a species on the brink of annihilation and opening a door for them. More than that, the sanctuaries were designed to adapt to the refugees, to gently modify their biology for optimal survival in their new home. They built thousands of these worlds, scattered them across the galaxy, and left them dormant, waiting for a civilization to reach a technological point where they could detect and open the gate, waiting for us. Aeloria was one of those lifeboats. It had waited 500 million years, and we were not its first passengers. The Nexus was a history book. It held the records of 1717, previous species who had taken refuge here over the eons. Each one had arrived, fleeing their own apocalypse. Each had been transformed by the planet, adapting and thriving for centuries, sometimes millennia. But none of them stayed forever. Aeloria was a temporary haven, a place to recover and rebuild. Once they were strong again, they left. They returned to normal space, found new stars, and built new civilizations. Aeloria gave them a second chance, and we were the 18th species to receive that incredible gift. This revelation left us with a staggering question. What was our destiny? Would we follow the path of the 17 before us? Would we eventually leave this paradise to build a new human empire among the stars? Or would we choose to stay? To remain in the safety of the sanctuary, protected from the harshness of the universe, but perhaps trapped by our own desire for security. But the Nexus had more to show us. It had a warning. It contained vast amounts of astronomical data, a map of stellar dynamics across the galaxy, stretching back hundreds of millions of years. And it revealed a terrifying pattern. Stars were dying too soon. G-type stars, like our own sun, which should burn steadily for 10 billion years, were collapsing prematurely. 5 billion years, 4 billion, 3. And the rate of these collapses was accelerating. The numbers were chilling. In the last 500 million years, 147 sun-like stars in our galactic neighborhood had died an early death. In just the last 10 million years, 89. The last million years, 34. And in the last 10,000 years, 12 stars had winked out of existence, their planetary systems obliterated. The frequency was increasing exponentially. Something was killing stars. Something was destabilizing their cores, triggering them to collapse into black holes or neutron stars far ahead of schedule. What could it be? The Nexus offered theories, but no certainties. A strange interaction with dark matter? A facet of exotic physics our science hadn't even dreamed of? Or the most terrifying possibility of all, that it was intentional, that some unknown, unbelievably powerful intelligence was deliberately weaponizing stars, causing them to collapse and wiping out entire systems. A galactic-scale act of destruction. But why? To what end? The precursors hadn't known. They had only observed the pattern and built the sanctuaries in response. The Nexus couldn't give us the answer. It could only deliver the warning, the same warning given to every refugee species that had come before us. The stellar collapses will continue. They will accelerate. More worlds will die. More species will face extinction. Aeloria is just one sanctuary among thousands. But will thousands be enough? Is the number of sanctuaries infinite, or is it a limited resource? Will there come a day when the lifeboats are full, when the system of sanctuaries itself collapses under the sheer number of species fleeing a dying galaxy? We had escaped our dying sun, only to learn that its death was part of a much larger and much more frightening cosmic plague. We were safe for now. But out there, in the universe we once dreamed of conquering, the stars themselves were going out. I'm sending this message back to your time, to the 21st century, because there's something you need to know. Something you must prepare for. In the year 2847, your sun will become unstable. That gives you 822 years. It might sound like a long time, but it isn't. Not when you consider what's at stake. Building a civilization takes centuries. Developing world-changing technology takes generations. You need to start now. You need to begin researching dimensional physics, developing portal technology, and creating the infrastructure for a planet-wide evacuation. Please, don't wait until the crisis is upon you. Don't repeat our mistakes. When our star died, we had only 73 days. We managed to save half of our people, but you can save everyone. It's possible, but only if you start today. If you dedicate your resources, if you take this threat seriously. I'm transmitting all the technical data we have. Everything Dr. Vex discovered. Portal configurations, quantum mechanics, dimensional theory. Everything the Nexus taught us. It's all embedded within this message, encoded in the carrier wave. Your quantum physicists will be able to extract it, to verify it, and to begin the research. Don't dismiss this as a work of fiction. Don't ignore this warning. I urge you, run the solar models. Check the neutrino flux from your star. Monitor the dynamics of its core. You'll find the early signs are already there, subtle anomalies, slight deviations from the standard models. They're faint, but they exist. Just look carefully. You have the chance to build the portals long before you need them. You can test them, perfect them, and create the necessary backup systems and redundancies. You have time. Use it wisely. When 2847 arrives, when the sun begins its final destabilizing phase, you'll have a fully functioning portal network ready. You can evacuate every single person. No one will be left behind. No guilt, no sorrow, number 3.8 billion dead. Just a clean, complete evacuation. Your entire species saved. And here's a secret, a reason for hope. Aeloria is waiting for you. It's been 154 years since we arrived, and fewer than 1 billion of us remain on this world. The other 3 billion returned to normal space. They colonized exoplanets, built new worlds, and established a thriving interstellar civilization. We are flourishing, but Aeloria isn't full. It has the capacity for billions more. When your sun dies, when you evacuate, Aeloria will accept you. It will modify you. It will save you. Here, you'll meet us, the 18th and 19th refugee species, cousins separated by 1,000 years of time, finally united on a sanctuary world. Like us, you will be modified, adapted to Aeloria's unique environment. You will evolve, transform. Your children will be different from you, better adapted, better suited to this world. They will be Aelorian, and that isn't a bad thing. It's survival. It's the future. But you have a choice that we never had. We arrived desperate, dying, and utterly unprepared. You can arrive organized. You can arrive with your infrastructure intact. You can bring everything, your technology, your culture, your art, your knowledge. You can maximize what you save and minimize what you lose. You can do this so much better than we did. Please, learn from our mistakes. Save everyone. My name is Xythor Kaelum. I was born Xander Thorn, but my name changed after the transformation, after I became Aeolorian. In our new language, Xythor means keeper of memory. It's a language we developed here for our new world. I am the keeper of human memory, the keeper of Earth's memory, the keeper of our origin. I record our history, document our transformation, and preserve our past so that future generations will never forget. They will remember Earth. They will remember Soul. They will remember where we came from, what we lost, and what we managed to save. This message is a part of that record, a part of that memory. It's a warning sent back to our past selves. Don't waste the precious time you have. Don't ignore this warning. Don't condemn half of your species to death. Save everyone. Come to Aeloria. Join us. Let's build a future together. We're waiting for you. We have always been waiting, and we will always be waiting. Aeloria is eternal. This sanctuary is eternal. Your survival is possible. If you act, if you prepare, if you believe. This is Xythor Kaelum, transmitting from the year 3001. From Aeloria. From a sanctuary. From hope. From your future. Receive this message. Act on it. Save your species. I'll see you in 822 years. So, how does it all work? How do you bridge the gap between normal space and this dimensional pocket? It's about creating a temporary connection, a tunnel that allows transit from one point to another. The precursors, the ones who built Aeloria, mastered this technology 500 million years ago. They didn't just build temporary portals. They created a permanent infrastructure inside Aeloria itself. That's the secret to its stability, why it can maintain these connections indefinitely and serve as a true sanctuary. For your own scientists, the journey begins with topology, dimensional mathematics, and quantum geometry. The equations are incredibly complex, but they are solvable. I'm actually transmitting the complete mathematical framework to you right now, embedded within the subcarrier frequencies of this very message. Your quantum computers should be able to decode it. They can verify the consistency of the math, and more importantly, begin experimental testing. But this brings me to a critical warning about portal technology. Activating a portal prematurely is catastrophic. You must test them extensively before you even think about a large-scale evacuation. We learned this the hard way. We lost hundreds of our own people to destabilized portals in the early days. They were torn apart at a quantum level, scattered across dimensional boundaries. We could never recover them, never reassemble them. They were just gone. So please, learn from our tragedy. Test with unmanned probes first, then move to small masses, then animals. Only after all that should you use human volunteers. You need to build robust safety protocols and establish emergency shutdown procedures for every conceivable failure. We didn't have the luxury of time for proper testing. You do. Use that time wisely. Don't sacrifice a single life to haste. Here's another crucial detail. The location of your portals matters immensely. Portals open near strong gravitational sources, like close to a planet or a star, are far more stable and easier to maintain. Trying to open one in the vast emptiness of deep space, it's incredibly unstable, requires exponentially more energy, and is prone to collapsing much faster. This is why we focused on building our portals on Earth's surface and in low orbit. It maximized their stability. When you begin building your own network, prioritize locations on planetary surfaces, especially in your major urban centers with high population density. This minimizes the distance people need to travel to reach a portal, streamlining the entire evacuation process. Now, let's talk about the dark matter problem itself. There is a theoretical solution. If you could somehow extract the excess dark matter from the sun's core, you could prevent its collapse entirely. You could delay it indefinitely. But accessing the core of a star is impossible with any technology we ever conceived. It would require a grasp of exotic physics far beyond ours, the ability to manipulate mass and energy on a stellar scale. We simply couldn't do it. But maybe you can. Perhaps by the year 2847, your civilization will have developed technology that we lacked. Technology to reach into the heart of your star, extract the corrupting dark matter, and save the sun, to save Earth, to keep your home world. That is the ideal outcome. It's so much better than evacuation, better than seeking sanctuary on Aeloria. If you have any chance at all to save Earth, you must take it. Don't abandon your world unless it is absolutely, unequivocally necessary. And this is vital, you must prepare the evacuation as a backup plan. Think of the portals as your ultimate safety net. In the best-case scenario, you save Earth and you never need to use them. In the worst-case scenario, you need the portals, and they are ready and waiting. Either way, humanity survives. To ensure you have that safety net, I am including the complete technical specifications in this transmission. Everything. The designs for the portal generators, the precise power requirements, the quantum stabilization algorithms, all the safety protocols we developed. It's all here. Your engineers will have the blueprints to build these devices. Your physicists will be able to verify the mathematics. Your governments can and must coordinate the construction effort. You have the resources, you have the time, and now you have the knowledge. There is no excuse for failure. We managed to save 4.2 billion people with only 73 days and an incomplete, desperate understanding of the physics involved. You can save all 8 billion of your people, or whatever your population grows to, by 2847, with 822 years and the complete, hard-won knowledge we are giving you. The only barrier left is your will, your commitment, your belief. You have to believe this message. You have to believe this warning. And you have to act on it. Start today. Start now. Every year you delay is a year of progress lost. Every decade you waste is a billion lives you're putting at risk. Don't repeat our mistakes. Don't let history repeat itself and condemn half of your species. Save everyone. You can do this. So, you want to know what life is like here on Aeloria? What you can expect when you finally arrive? What sanctuary truly feels like? Let me try to put it into words for you. Aeloria is beautiful in a way that's almost impossible to describe. The sky itself is a spectacle, constantly shifting through a spectrum of violet. Dawn is a deep, rich purple. By noon, it's a bright, vibrant lavender. And the sunsets. They're a breathtaking mix of pink and gold. At night, the sky reveals stars that don't exist in our space, constellations we've never seen before. Entire galaxies are visible to the naked eye, magnified by the atmosphere's unique properties. Every single night is like an astronomy lesson, a constant, beautiful reminder that we're somewhere else entirely, somewhere impossible. The landscape itself is perfect. Almost too perfect. You'll see rolling hills, crystal clear rivers, and forests of trees with blue-silver bark, whose leaves chime like bells in the wind. Mountains reach for the clouds, but they're not difficult to climb because gravity actually lightens as you ascend. The oceans glow with a soft bioluminescence at night, and the beaches are a mix of gold and purple sand. Every single view looks like it was painted by an artist, like it's artificial. And that's because it is. The precursors who built this place optimized it for aesthetics. They made this sanctuary beautiful, welcoming. They made it home. We've built our own cities here. Real cities, but not like the ones on Earth. These are Aelorian cities. The architecture is adapted to the variable gravity, with buildings that can shift their position along with the landscape. Our structures are made from living materials that we grow, not mined biomechanical hybrids of plant and stone. They grow, they self-repair, and they adapt to our needs. Our largest city is New Geneva, home to about 50 million people, built on the coast of the Great Azure Ocean. The city itself is a spiral. All the buildings are arranged in a logarithmic spiral that radiates out from a central nexus. What's amazing is that this design emerged organically. There was no planning committee that decided on the spiral pattern. People just started building, and the spiral formed naturally, as if the planet itself was guiding the construction, suggesting the most optimal arrangement. In New Geneva, we have massive vertical farms that grow both earth crops and native Aelorian vegetation, synthesizing hybrid foods that taste better and are more nutritious than anything from Earth. They're perfectly adapted to our changing biology. We have schools where children learn Earth's history, right alongside Aeolorian ecology, learning who they were and who they are becoming. Our hospitals combine Earth medicine with Aeolorian biotechnology, and success rates are approaching 100%. It seems the planet itself assists in healing, responding to medical needs. And of course, we have research institutes studying everything: physics, biology, consciousness, and the planet itself. We're constantly trying to understand where we are, what we've become, and what we will become. Transportation here is strange. We have vehicles, ground, air, and watercraft, but they're almost unnecessary. You can walk anywhere on Aeloria and get there surprisingly quickly. Distance is negotiable here. If you need to reach a location 1,000 kilometers away, you just start walking with clear intention, focusing on your destination. The landscape seems to compress around you, and you arrive in hours instead of weeks. Space literally folds around your need, around your purpose. The Aeolorians, humans born here on this planet, do this instinctively. Earth-born humans like me had to learn how. It takes practice, and it takes trust. You have to trust that the planet will help you, that it will bend space to deliver you safely. But once you trust, once you truly believe, it works. I've walked across entire continents in a single day. I walked from New Geneva to New Tokyo 15,000 kilometers in just 16 hours. It's impossible by the laws of normal physics, but it's completely normal on Aeloria. Communication is instantaneous. We have quantum networks that operate across the entire planet with no lag, no delay whatsoever. You can speak to someone on the opposite side of the world and hear their response immediately. But what's even stranger is that telepathy is emerging. Native Aeolorians can sense each other's thoughts. It's not exactly reading minds, but more like feeling emotions, knowing intentions, and understanding meaning without any words at all. They're developing a kind of group consciousness, a hive mind that's forming naturally. It's not forced or controlled, it's just emerging. They all remain individuals with their own personal identities, but they're also connected, part of a collective, part of the planetary consciousness, part of Aeloria itself. Even the weather is controllable, not by technology, but by consensus. If enough people want it to rain, it rains. If enough people want sun, the clouds part. The planet responds to our collective desire, to the majority preference. This caused a few problems at first: conflicts between groups with different needs. Farmers wanted rain for their crops, while festival organizers wanted sun. We quickly learned to compromise, to schedule. Now we might have morning rain for agriculture, afternoon sun for recreation, and dramatic evening storms just for their beauty. Everyone gets something they want, but no one gets everything. It's democracy applied to meteorology. Food is abundant. The Aeolorian biosphere is almost entirely edible. You can safely consume most things that grow here. There are fruits that taste like pure honey, vegetables with textures like meat, and grains that provide complete proteins. We do supplement our diet with earth crops like wheat, rice, and corn, grown in our vertical farms, but we don't really need them. We could survive completely on the native vegetation. The planet provides. It always provides. Starvation and famine are impossible here. Everyone eats well. Everyone is nourished. While a form of poverty still exists, some people have more than others. No one goes hungry. No one is homeless. The planet simply won't allow it. It creates shelter. It creates food. It ensures survival. And death. Death is different here. People still die, of course. We're not immortal, but it feels less final. When someone dies on Aeloria, their consciousness doesn't just disappear. It integrates with the planet. It becomes part of the planetary consciousness, part of Aeloria's memory. We've verified this. The native-born Aeolorians can feel the presence of those who have passed. They can communicate with them, not like a clear conversation, but their presence, their essence, remains. Some people call it heaven. Some call it absorption. Some call it the next stage of existence. Whatever it is, death isn't an ending here. It's a transformation, a continuation, an integration. I don't fear death anymore. I used to. On Earth, death felt like oblivion, a terrifying void. Here, death is like returning home, becoming part of something so much larger than yourself. I'll die someday. My body will fail, and my consciousness will be released, and I'll become part of Aeloria, part of this sanctuary, part of this eternal refuge. My children will be able to feel me. My grandchildren will know me. I'll exist as a memory, as a presence, as a whisper in the planetary mind. And that thought is incredibly comforting. That is peace. We're not alone on Aeloria. I mentioned 17 previous refugee species used this sanctuary before we arrived. Most of them left, eventually returning to normal space to build new civilizations. But 2 species remained. They chose to stay, integrating fully with the planet and becoming permanent residents. We've met them. The first species we call the crystalline. They're silicon-based beings with translucent bodies that refract light in the most beautiful ways. They communicate through harmonic frequencies. Imagine music is their language. They arrived on Aeloria about 120 million years ago, their homeworld completely sterilized by a gamma-ray burst. They managed to evacuate 12 billion individuals. After spending 5 million years here, most of them left to colonize silicon-rich worlds across the galaxy. But 200 million chose to stay. They preferred this sanctuary over the struggle of colonization. They live in the deep resonance caverns beneath New Pangaea, in incredible crystal cities that literally sing. The structures themselves vibrate with their thoughts. They are peaceful, gentle, and incredibly wise. I mean, they've witnessed 120 million years of Aeolorian history. They've seen dozens of refugee species come and go. They share their knowledge willingly, teaching us the planet's secrets, teaching us how to listen to Aeloria and understand its language. The crystalline don't have biological children in the way we do. They reproduce through crystallization, growing new individuals from seed crystals in a process that takes centuries. Their patience is beyond human comprehension. They think in geological time. Their gestures and movements can last for hours. Having a conversation with them requires you to slow down, to think longer. They've taught me patience and perspective. They've shown me that my 154 years is just a blink of an eye, that humanity's transformation is only just beginning. They believe we'll still be here millions of years from now, changed and evolved, but still us. The second permanent species we call the Aerials. They're gas-phase beings, their bodies made of organized plasma. They fly constantly, never touching the ground. Their language is electrical discharges. Lightning is how they speak. They arrived 45 million years ago after their home star expanded into a red giant, the same phenomenon that consumed Earth. They evacuated 8 billion souls. After about 2 million years, most of them left, but 500 million decided to stay. They live high in the upper atmosphere, above the cloud layer, where the air is thin and ionized. They've built structures from bound plasma cities of pure lightning. They are beautiful, but deadly. We can't visit them safely. The electrical fields would kill us instantly. But the native Aeolorians, with their enhanced biology, can. My own children have visited the aerial cities and described them as living, thinking storms, as consciousness made visible. The Aerials are artists. For them, function and beauty are inseparable. Everything they create is a work of art. They've had a profound influence on Aeolorian culture, teaching us that aesthetics matter, that beauty is a survival strategy. They believe that creatures who create beauty deserve to exist. They create atmospheric art that we can see from the ground. Aurora patterns that tell stories, cloud formations depicting history, and lightning sculptures that dance across the sky. Every single night, the Aerials perform, and the sky becomes their canvas. We formed an alliance. 3 species sharing a sanctuary: humans, crystalline, and aerials. We call ourselves the Sanctuary Collective. We govern Aeloria together, making decisions and sharing resources, knowledge, and our world. The crystalline provide the perspective of deep time. They remember previous species, they see the patterns, and they warn us of mistakes others have made. The aerials provide atmospheric data, monitoring the planet's moods and warning us of instabilities before they manifest. And humans, we provide energy, drive, ambition. We're a young, impatient species. We build quickly, innovate constantly, and always push the boundaries. The crystalline and the aerials seem to appreciate this. They find it refreshing. After millions of years, they've grown patient, and we remind them of youth, of urgency, of why survival matters. Together, we've learned Aeloria's deepest secrets. We've discovered that this planet isn't just a sanctuary. It's an incubator. It deliberately modifies refugee species, accelerating their evolution to create optimal forms. The crystalline were different when they arrived, more rigid and less luminous. Aeloria made them beautiful, translucent, crystalline. The aerials were also different, more chaotic and less organized. Aeloria taught them structure and art, shaping them into conscious storms. And now we're being modified. We're becoming something new. Homo sapiens alarius is just the beginning. In 1,000,000 years, we'll be unrecognizable. In 10 million, we might transcend biology altogether. And in 100 million years, we could be like the precursor's pure, post-physical consciousness. The crystalline and aerials confirm this. They are on the same path, heading toward the same destination, transcendence. Evolution toward consciousness without form. This planet is teaching us, guiding us, preparing us. For what? We don't know for sure. But we trust. We trust Aeloria. We trust the sanctuary. And we trust the process. I know what you're thinking. 822 years. That sounds like an eternity, doesn't it? It sounds like we have all the time in the world. We don't. Civilizations move at a glacial pace. Governments are tangled in bureaucracy. And people resist change. You will face a mountain of skepticism. You'll be met with denial and outright opposition. Politicians will dismiss this as a hoax. Scientists, your own colleagues, will demand proof you can't yet provide. The public, overwhelmed with their daily lives, will simply ignore the warning. Human nature hasn't changed much in 1,000 years. I know this because I was there. I remember the 21st century. I remember the skepticism about climate change, about existential risks, about any long-term threat that wasn't staring people directly in the face. People don't act on distant dangers. They don't mobilize for abstract futures. They wait until the crisis is at their doorstep, until the water is rising around their ankles. They wait until it's too late. You cannot afford that luxury. You can't wait until the year 2840 to start thinking about building portals. If you do, it will be too late. You'll be building under immense pressure, under the shadow of panic, under conditions that absolutely guarantee failure. You need to start now, in your time, in the 21st century. The work must begin quietly. Think government-funded research programs, university projects, and private sector investments. You need to dive deep into dimensional physics, build the theoretical frameworks, and then develop experimental prototypes. By the year 2100, you should have a working small-scale portal, a laboratory-sized proof of concept. By 2200, you should have a human-scale portal that is safe, thoroughly tested, and reliable. By 2300, the goal is industrial-sized portals, capable of mass transit. By 2400, a global network should be in place, hundreds, maybe thousands of portals distributed strategically around the world. By 2500, you need to have your evacuation procedures finalized. The protocols, the training, a population that is educated and ready, an infrastructure built for this single purpose. By 2600, you should be running full-scale drills, testing the entire system, identifying every weakness, and fixing every problem. By 2700, your focus must shift to intensive monitoring of solar dynamics, watching for the very first warning signs, confirming the predictions I've given you. Sometime around 2800, you'll start to see the anomalies. Changes in the neutrino flux, variations in the sun's core temperature, the first hard evidence of dark matter accumulation. In 2840, you activate the evacuation protocols. That gives you 7 years before the crisis hits. 7 years to move the entire human population safely, methodically, and completely. By 2847, when our sun finally destabilizes, Earth should be empty. Everyone evacuated. Everyone safe relocated to Aeloria or other sanctuary worlds. 0 casualties. A perfect record of survival. This is not a fantasy. It is achievable, but only if you start now. The alternative is the path my civilization took. A last-minute scramble. Desperate engineering feats. Incomplete testing. We saved half of our population. The other half perished. The guilt from that failure has lasted for centuries. A trauma passed down through generations. Do not choose that path. Choose preparation. Choose foresight. Choose survival. I am providing you with the roadmap, a detailed timeline, the technical specifications. Everything you need is in this message, but I can't force you to act. I can't compel your governments or convince the skeptics for you. Only you can do that. You, the person receiving this message. You who believe. You who understand the stakes. You must be the one to convince others. You must advocate. You must push. You must dedicate your life to this preparation. This must become your mission, your purpose. The future of humanity depends on it. 8 billion lives or far more, depending on your population growth, depend on it. The entire history and future of human civilization depends on it. You are the early warning system. You are the first responders. You are, in a sense, prophets. Not in a religious way, but in the most practical sense imaginable. You see the future. You know what's coming. You must warn others. You must prepare others. You must save them. That is your responsibility. It is your burden, and it is your privilege. Some will call you crazy. They will mock you. They will dismiss you. Let them. History will prove you right. In 822 years, when the sun destabilizes and the earth dies, those who believed will survive. Those who prepared will live. Those who mocked will die. That sounds harsh, I know. It sounds cruel. But it is the unvarnished reality of the universe. Survival favors the prepared. Nature does not negotiate. Physics does not compromise. The sun will destabilize right on schedule, whether you believe it or not, whether you prepare or not. It is far better to believe and be wrong than to disbelieve and be annihilated. It's better to prepare unnecessarily than to die unprepared. Think of it as a cosmic Pascal's wager. Believe in the warning. Prepare for the exodus. In the worst-case scenario, you've wasted some resources on unnecessary infrastructure. But in the best-case scenario, you save our entire species. The expected value calculation is obvious. What does it mean to be human in a post-Earth era? That's a question that haunts me. A question I've contemplated for 154 years. A question without a clear answer. We originated on Earth. We evolved there, adapted to its specific gravity, its specific atmosphere, its specific star. Everything about us was shaped by Earth. Our biology, our psychology, our culture, our myths, our very identity. We were Earthlings, a terrestrial species, children of soul. Now we're Aeolorian. We've changed. We've been modified, adapted to a different world. a different kind of physics, a different reality altogether. So, are we still human? This question matters. It's not just academic. It's deeply personal, existential. When I see my children, they look different. They think differently. They experience reality in a way I never did. Are they human? They have human DNA, yes, but it's been modified. It's built on a human baseline. They have a culture with a human foundation, a language with human roots. They are human, but they're also something else, something new, something more. Homo sapiens aeloris isn't just Homo sapiens. It's a successor. It's evolution in action, the next step. So what does that make us? The original humans, the Earthborn. Are we just relics? Ancestors? Primitives? I don't think that's right. I think we're a bridge, a connection between what was and what will be. We remember Earth. We remember our sun. We remember where we came from. We carry that memory. We preserve that identity. We teach our children about their origins, about what they were and what they're becoming. Without us, they would forget. They'd be orphans without a history, creatures without a past. And that's dangerous. That's incomplete. Knowing your origin matters. Understanding your evolution matters. Appreciating the transformation matters. We provide that. We are living memory. We are living history. A living connection. And we are still human. Changed? Yes. Adapted? Yes. Different? Yes. But human? Absolutely. Humanity isn't defined by biology alone. It's defined by consciousness, by culture, by continuity. And we are the ones who maintain that continuity. We preserve humanity, even as humanity itself changes. That is our role. That is our purpose. That is our meaning. The philosophy of living in this sanctuary, Aeloria, is a strange one. It offers everything: safety, beauty, abundance, a form of immortality. There's no disease, no famine, no war, no existential threats. It's a paradise, but this paradise has a cost, and that cost is complacency, stagnation, the loss of drive, of ambition, of that hunger to achieve more. The native crystalline and aerials have warned us. They've seen it before. A species arrives, desperate. They survive. They thrive. And then ... they just stop. They stop growing, stop evolving, stop striving. The sanctuary becomes a prison. The safety becomes a trap. It can live for 1,000,000 years without change, without progress, without any sense of meaning. Then they just fade away. They die slowly, not physically, but spiritually. They lose their purpose, their reason to be, their will to continue. They exist, but they don't truly live. Humanity must avoid that fate. We have to maintain our drive. We have to keep pushing boundaries. We must continue evolving, not just biologically, but psychologically, culturally, and philosophically. We must keep asking questions, seeking answers, exploring the mysteries. We must never be satisfied. We must never stop growing. That's how we survive sanctuary. That's how we avoid the trap. We have to make survival insufficient. We have to demand meaning, demand purpose, demand growth. 3 billion humans have already left Aeloria. They returned to normal space, colonizing exoplanets, building a new interstellar civilization. They left because they needed a challenge. They needed a frontier. They needed difficulty. For them, Aeloria was too easy, too comfortable. They wanted the struggle, the resistance, the thrill of achievement. I respect that. I understand it. But I stayed. I chose the sanctuary. I chose the comfort. I chose the ease. Am I weak? A coward? Maybe. Or maybe I'm a different kind of strong. Strong enough to accept the gift. Strong enough to live in paradise without guilt. Strong enough to say, I don't need the struggle. I need peace. Both choices are valid. Both are human. Some of us need the challenge. Some of us need rest. Some need to conquer, while others need to reflect. Both build a civilization. Both advance the species. The warriors go out and colonize the stars. The philosophers stay and seek to understand existence itself. Both matter. Both contribute. Neither path is superior. I tell my children this. I tell them they can leave if they want to. They can join the Exodus. They can build empires. Or they can stay. They can deepen their understanding, integrate with Aeloria, and perhaps even transcend. Either way, they are human. Either way, their choice is valid. Either way, they matter. Choice is freedom. And freedom is what makes us human. As long as we have the power to choose, we are human. It's a heavy responsibility, an impossible burden, I know, but it's a necessary one. Someone must carry it. You die. Completely. Humanity ends. The species becomes extinct. That timeline is dark. Empty. Wrong. Don't choose that timeline. Choose survival. Choose preparation. Choose action. Choose hope. I can see your timeline converging toward the survival branch. I see the early believers. I see the first researchers. I see governments mobilizing. I see the infrastructure being built. The portals opening. The evacuations beginning. I see humanity surviving. I see you reaching Aeloria. I see us meeting 822 years from now. Your present to your future. My past to my present. Time circles. Causality loops. The future influences the past, and the past shapes the future. This message is part of that loop, part of causality, part of ensuring survival. By warning you, I am changing your timeline, changing your decisions, changing your future. I am changing my past, creating a stable loop where humanity survives, where our species endures, where hope wins. That's quantum mechanics. That's Aeolorian physics. That's how Sanctuary works. Already saving you. Feel it. Trust it. Follow it. Come home. Come to Sanctuary. Come to the future. We're waiting. We've always been waiting. We'll always be waiting. Time is a circle. You're already here. You've always been here. You will always be here. Welcome home. This is Xythor Kaelum, historian of the Great Migration, keeper of memory, child of Earth, citizen of Aeloria. Signing off. Final transmission complete. The quantum link is collapsing. The message is delivered. The warning has been sent. Hope has been transmitted. The future is secured. I'll see you on Aeloria. See you in Sanctuary. See you in survival. See you home.